The Range Rover, the pinnacle of motoring excellence, crafted for those who demand nothing less than perfection, where engineering meets elegance, where capability meets sophistication, where a man who has never left the pavement surface feels like a warrior, where adventure meets a $4,000 air suspension bill, and a mechanic who, like your wife, knows exactly how pathetic you truly are, where luxury meets the slow, creeping realization that you have made a terrible, terrible mistake.
Just kidding. Yeah, we're not doing that one. That thing deserves its own video, its own therapy session, possibly its own documentary, and hopefully its own funeral. Anyways, every mechanic has a mental list. It's not written down. Nobody posts it on a wall somewhere. But the moment certain SUVs pull into the stall, you feel it. That quiet dread when you recognize the grille and you realize your next 3 hours and what they're going to look like. Today, that list goes public. These are not obscure vehicles. These are not rare mistakes. These are America's most popular, most marketed, most trusted SUVs. The ones sitting in every pickup line at schools, every Costco parking lot, every suburban driveway in the country. And they are hiding things that the showroom floor will never tell you. I'm going to break that down exactly. What goes wrong, why it goes wrong, and what it costs when it does. Not from a website, not from a press release, from a garage. Let's get into it.
All right, number 5, the Jeep Grand Cherokee. One of the best-selling SUVs in America for over 30 years. Capable of off-road, comfortable on-road. Available in enough trim levels to confuse anyone who tries to compare them. The 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 is actually a decent engine. I mean, current climate considering, of course. So that's not where the mechanics' dread comes from. Their frustration comes from the TIPM, the Totally Integrated Power Module, Jeep's centralized electrical brain that controls everything from the fuel pump to the windows to the horn. When it fails, and it fails, nothing works right. The fuel pump relay sticks, the engine cranks but won't start, or it starts randomly. The horn honks by itself at 2 a.m. The windows stop responding. Warning lights illuminate for no damn reason at all. It's literally a storyline to an 80s sitcom on 4 wheels. Diagnosing a TIPM failure takes time, and that's if you're lucky enough to get one of the 6 out of 10 mechanics skilled enough to even figure out the real problem. You're looking at multiple hours of diagnostic work before a single part is ordered. The TIPM replacement itself runs $700 to $1,200 in parts. Add diagnostic labor, and you're looking at $1,500 to $2,000 for a repair that Jeep owners across multiple model years have been dealing with since 2011. And then there's the transfer case. The Grand Cherokee's transfer case is a known wear item, as they say, specifically the chain and the mode fork that engages 4-wheel drive. On higher mileage examples, the engagement becomes rough, then grinding. The 4-wheel drive stops working entirely. Transfer case replacement on a Grand Cherokee at a dealer is $1,800 to $3,200, depending on the model, of course. And this is not a high mileage surprise. These failures are appearing well before 100,000 miles on vehicles that have been maintained properly. So, the mechanic's verdict. Great concept, capable platform, electrical system that makes every mechanic reach for a second cup of coffee before they even open the hood. Moving on to number 4, and this one is kind of a sleeper on this list. Nobody really talks about the Nissan Pathfinder. It doesn't get the press the Grand Cherokee gets. It doesn't have the brand loyalty the Jeep crowd has. It's just there, practical, available, affordable, compared to its competition. And it has one of the most problematic transmissions in the segment these days. The CVT, continuously variable transmission. Nissan has been putting this transmission in everything for years. The Pathfinder, the Murano, the Rogue, the Altima. It's smooth at low speeds. It's fuel efficient, and for high mileage examples, it has a documented failure rate that should alarm every Pathfinder owner in America. CVT failures don't exactly announce themselves with a warning light and a grace period. They announce themselves with a shudder at high speeds, a burning smell, a whining noise that gets louder every week. And then one day, the vehicle moves in one direction and the transmission, well, it goes in the other. CVT replacement on a Pathfinder, remanufactured unit plus labor, you're starting at $3,500 and climbing to $5,000 depending on the shop and the model year, of course. Now, at least Nissan extended the warranty on these transmissions on certain model years after enough owners made enough noise. But the reality is, extended warranty or not, once that transmission goes, the experience of owning a Nissan Pathfinder changes permanently. Owners who've been through one CVT replacement drive the rest of the vehicle's life, waiting for the next one. Most mechanics don't hate the Pathfinder. They pity the people who bought it without knowing what was underneath. So here's the verdict from the Bay. If you own one, get the CVT fluid changed on schedule every 30,000 miles, no exceptions. It won't save you forever, but it buys you some time. Okay, number 3, the Hyundai Palisade. Beautiful interior, 3 rows, loaded with technology at a price that undercuts almost everything in its class. Consumer Reports loved it. Family car buyers loved it. The awards were everywhere. Here's what the awards didn't mention. Okay, so the Hyundai has a documented engine problem that has resulted in tens of millions of dollars in settlements, multiple class action lawsuits, and millions of vehicle recalls across the lineup. The Theta 2 engine, in all of its various forms, has a known issue with metal debris contaminating the engine oil during manufacturing. That debris circulates through the oiling system. It scores the bearings, it damages the journals. And then that engine seizes, without warning, on the highway at 60,000 miles on a vehicle that should have another 150,000 miles of life left in her. The current Palisade uses a newer engine architecture than the most affected Theta 2 variants, but the manufacturing culture that produced those failures and the corporate response that prioritized litigation management over owner notification is the same company building your Palisade today. Mechanics who've worked on Hyundai product lines know the history. They've seen what happens when these engines let go. They've made those phone calls to owners explaining that the engine they're describing over the phone is not a repair, it's a replacement. Engine replacement on a Palisade is $6,000 to $9,000 on a family SUV that was supposed to be the smart, affordable alternative to the luxury badge. Okay, so the verdict from the guys in the shop who know. They say monitor your oil consumption religiously. If your Palisade is burning oil between changes, get it to a dealer immediately. That is one of few early warning signs that most owners ignore until it's too late.
Everything on this list so far, the Grand Cherokee, the Pathfinder, the Palisade, those are vehicles with specific addressable problems. Bad electrical design, transmission that was really never up to the job, ever. An engine problem that cut corners during manufacturing. The last 2 vehicles on this list, they're different. The last 2 are the ones where someone decided that $90,000, in one case over $100,000, entitled you to a premium experience, a luxury statement, the best of everything. And both of them are hiding the same fundamental problem underneath all that leather and chrome. Number 2 and number 1 Pay close attention if you own either of these.
All right, number 2, the Grand Wagoneer. Stellantis brought back the most iconic American SUV nameplate in history and turned it into a $90,000 to $115,000 luxury statement. 3 rows, Macintosh audio system, 12-inch passenger screen, 10-inch rear entertainment screens, more screens than a Best Buy showroom floor. This monster is genuinely stunning inside. You sit in it and you understand exactly why people write those checks. Under the hood is the 6.4-liter Hemi V8, 471 horsepower. Cylinder deactivation MDS that shuts down 4 cylinders on the highway to improve fuel economy. The same cylinder deactivation technology that has a documented failure history across the Ram and Jeep lineups. MDS lifter failures on the 6.4-liter Hemi are showing up with increasing frequency on higher mileage Grand Wagoneers. The symptoms are familiar. A tick on startup, a drop in power, a misfire code, and underneath those codes is a collapsing lifter and the beginning of a very expensive conversation. And then there's the electrical system. Every one of these screens runs on a network of modules that communicate with each other constantly. When one module loses communication with another, and they do, the diagnostic process is lengthy. The repair process is expensive. And because this is a relatively new vehicle on a new platform, the repair history is still being written today. Independent shops struggle with Grand Wagoneer diagnostics. The software requirements are specific. The repair information is dealer controlled, of course. You are almost always going back to a Jeep dealer for anything beyond basic maintenance. And dealer labor rates on a $100,000 vehicle are priced accordingly, to put it politely. A Grand Wagoneer with an MDS lifter failure and associated electrical complaints. Man, you're looking at a repair estimate that starts at $8,000 and climbs depending on what they find once they get in there. And like with several other modern beauties, what really pisses me off, frankly, with Stellantis is they built a magnificent looking vehicle, but they put a powertrain in it with a documented failure pattern and wrapped it in $30,000 worth of screens and leather. This is not a luxury SUV. This is a very expensive problem just waiting to happen. So from a mechanic's perspective, the Grand Wagoneer is the most impressive looking vehicle on this list, hands down. But it is also the one that most consistently produces the widest eyes when the estimate gets handed across that service counter. Okay, so number 1, and if you've been watching this channel for very long at all, you already know what's coming. The Cadillac Escalade. Starting at $80,000, platinum trim pushes past $105,000. The Chevy Tahoe with the 6.2-liter option sits at $70,000 to $80,000. These are not trucks people buy casually. These are statements, achievements, the culmination of years of working towards something. And GM puts the same 6.2-liter V8 in them that's been failing in Silverados and Sierras across the country. Same engine, same active fuel management system, same collapsing lifters, same metal debris in the oil system, same main bearing failure at 50, 60, 70,000 miles. We've covered this engine in detail on this channel a few times. The active fuel management system cycles those lifters thousands of times every highway trip. They wear, they collapse. The push rod loses contact with the cam. Metal enters the oiling system. The debris circulates. And then the knock starts. That deep, rhythmic knock that every mechanic recognizes immediately. The sound of a main bearing failing. The sound of a crankshaft cutting into bearing material. In a Silverado, that's a $12,000 repair. In an Escalade, with dealer labor rates on a $100,000 vehicle, with the additional complexity the air suspension, and the electrical systems that need to be managed during the repair, you're starting at $14K. And the ceiling depends on what they find, of course. That phone call telling someone their $90,000 Escalade needs a crate engine is the hardest call in the business. Not because the diagnosis is complicated, because the vehicle was supposed to be the reward, the thing they worked for, the truck that was supposed to represent arriving. GM has been selling this engine in their premium vehicles for years, knowing the failure pattern, issuing TSBs, managing the warranty claims, and then putting it in the next model year. This is not a luxury SUV experience. This is a luxury SUV price tag on a problem that was never solved. So the verdict from your trusted mechanic? Well, it's simple. If you own an Escalade or a Tahoe with the 6.2 liter, install the AFM disabler today. $100 OBD plug. It won't undo the miles already on those lifters, but it stops the cycling immediately. It is the cheapest insurance you can buy for the most expensive vehicle on this list.
Here's what all 5 of these vehicles have in common. They're popular for a reason. Jeep, Nissan, Hyundai, I guess, Stellantis, GM. These companies know how to build something that looks great, drives well on a test drive, and sells. The marketing works. The showroom experience works. The first 2 years of ownership generally works. What doesn't work is the part that comes afterwards. The TIPM that fails silently. The CVT that shudders and then quits. The engine that seizes without warning. The lifters that collapse on the most expensive SUV in the lineup. I'm not telling you not to buy these vehicles. I'm telling you what mechanics know before you hand over the keys. Do your research. Get a pre-purchase inspection from an independent shop, not the dealer. Budget for the repairs that are statistically likely to happen. And read your owner's manual on service intervals like your wallet depended on it. Because it does these days, if we're being honest, right, folks? And if you're looking at a Grand Wagoneer or an Escalade, ask yourself one question before you sign. Is the extended warranty optional on this vehicle? The answer will tell you everything the salesperson won't. Drop a comment. Tell me which SUV you're driving and what you've experienced. The comments on this channel are some of the most informative in the automotive space, and I read every damn one of them. If you want to know which trucks mechanics actually dread working on, that video is linked right up there. Hit the subscribe button. The list of SUVs mechanics secretly love, the ones they actually buy with their own money, that video is coming soon. So, I guess I'll see you at the next exit.